Today's video is not about grammar. It is not about vocabulary. It is not about your accent. Today, we are talking about something that nobody tells you when you first arrive in America. Something that can cost you months, sometimes years of your life. We are talking about why your resume is invisible. Not because you are not smart, not because you are not qualified, not because your English is not good enough, but because nobody taught you the rules of this game. And here is the hard truth. You can have a PhD. You can speak perfect English. You can have 10 years of experience in your home country, and your resume can still be a ghost, seen by no one, read by no one, answered by no one. Just silence, day after day, week after week. You refresh your email, nothing. You check your phone, nothing. You start to wonder, is something wrong with me? Am I not good enough for this country? Did I make a mistake coming here? I want you to stop right there. Because that voice in your head, that quiet, painful voice, it is lying to you. You are not the problem. The system is the problem. And today, we are going to talk about that system. There is a woman named Grace. She came to America from Nigeria with a doctoral degree in English literature. From an American university. Think about that for a moment. She studied English. In America, at a real university, she earned her PhD. And when she started applying for jobs, she heard nothing. Not one callback, not one interview, not one human being on the other side saying, "We received your application." Just silence. The same silence you may know right now. Grace did not give up, but she also did not keep doing the same thing. She stopped. She asked one question. What is the real problem here? And the answer changed everything. Today, you and we are going to follow Grace's story. We are going to read together slowly in simple English so that you understand every word. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly why your resume is not being seen. And more importantly, what you can do about it. Starting today, not next month, not when your English is perfect. Today. Because the truth is, most people limit themselves, not because they don't have the talent, but because they don't know the rules. And once you know the rules, everything changes. Let's begin. Before we follow Grace's story, I want to give you something first. Think of it as your toolkit. Your weapons. The words you need to understand everything that comes next. We have 5 words today. 5 simple words. But each one carries a world of meaning for anyone who has ever felt invisible in a new country. Are you ready? Let's go. Word number 1. Invisible. Say it. Say it with me. In-vi-si-ble. Invisible. Invisible means nobody can see you. You are there. You exist. But people look right through you. Like you are made of air. In America, many immigrants feel invisible. Not because they are weak, but because the system was not built for them. Grace felt invisible. Maybe you feel invisible too. That feeling has a name now. And when something has a name, you can fight it. Word number 2. Qualified. Say it slowly. Qualified. Qualified. Qualified means you have the skills. You have the experience. You have the education. You are ready for the job. Here is something important. Being qualified does not mean you will automatically get the job. In America, you can be qualified and still be ignored. That is the painful gap between what you have and what the system sees. Grace was qualified. More than qualified. But the system could not see that. Not yet. Word number 3. Application. Say it with me. Application. Application. An application is not just a piece of paper. It is not just a form you fill out. An application is your first conversation with a company before they ever meet you. Think about that. Your resume, your cover letter, they speak for you when you are not in the room. If your application speaks the wrong language, the company will never call you. Not because you are wrong, because your application was speaking to the wrong audience. Word number 4, follow up. 2 words, but one powerful action. Follow up. Follow up. Follow up means you contact someone again after your first message. In many cultures, following up feels uncomfortable. It feels like you are bothering someone. Like you are begging. But in America, following up is professional. It shows you are serious. It shows you care. It shows you are still there. Not invisible, present, determined. Grace learned this the hard way. And so will we. Word number 5, stand out. Stand out. Stand out. Stand out means to be different from everyone else. To be noticed. To rise above the crowd. When hundreds of people apply for one job, you cannot afford to look the same as everyone else. You need to stand out. Not by lying. Not by pretending to be someone you are not, but by showing clearly, confidently who you really are and what you can really do. That is the hardest thing for many immigrants, because in our home countries, we were taught to be humble, to wait, to not take up too much space. But in America, if you do not stand out, you disappear. And we have already talked about what it feels like to disappear. So, 5 words. Invisible. Application, follow up, stand out. Say them one more time with me. Invisible, qualified, application, follow up, stand out. These are not just vocabulary words. These are the 5 forces that will shape Grace's story, and maybe your story too. Now, let's go find out what happened to Grace. Grace Okafor arrived in America on a Tuesday morning in September. The sky was grey. The airport was loud. And her suitcase had 2 wheels broken from the long flight. But Grace did not care about the suitcase. She stood outside the terminal and took a long, slow breath. This was it. This was America. She had worked for this moment for 11 years. 11 years of studying. 11 years of writing. 11 years of late nights with cold coffee and heavy books. First her bachelor's degree in Nigeria, then her master's degree, then finally a full scholarship to a university in Ohio. 3 more years, and she earned it. Dr. Grace Okafor. Back home in Lagos, that title meant everything. Her mother cried when she heard the news. Her father told every neighbor on the street. Her students called her the woman who showed us the way. Grace had built something real, something solid, a life made of hard work and sacrifice. And now she was ready for the next chapter. She wanted one thing, not fame, not a big house, not a fancy car. She wanted to teach again, to stand in front of students, American students this time, and share everything she knew about language, about literature, about the power of words. She wanted to build a new life in this new country, with her own hands, with her own mind. She had her degree, she had her experience. She had 12 years of teaching written carefully on 6 pages of a beautiful, detailed resume. She was ready, or so she thought. Because what Grace did not know, what nobody had told her, was that being ready is not always enough. In America, the game has rules that nobody puts in the textbook, and Grace was about to learn the first painful lesson of her new life. She opened her laptop. She found the job listings. She took a deep breath, and she began to apply. The first week, Grace applied to 12 jobs, 12 different universities, 12 different colleges, 12 different departments, looking for English professors. She spent hours on each application. She read every job description carefully. She adjusted her resume for each position. She wrote a different cover letter for every single school. 12 applications, 12 cover letters. 12 days of waiting, and then nothing. She told herself, it is okay. It takes time. So she applied to 12 more. This time, she also tried community colleges, smaller schools, schools that maybe needed teachers more. She sent her resume. She waited. Nothing. Week 3. She tried a different approach. She applied to high schools. She applied to tutoring companies. She applied to online teaching platforms. She lowered her expectations. She told herself, I have a PhD, but I will start small. That is okay. I am new here. Week 4. Still nothing. No email, no phone call, no rejection letter. Even that would have felt better. Just silence. The kind of silence that grows louder every single day. At night, she sat at her small kitchen table in her apartment in Columbus, Ohio. The window was cold. The city outside was alive, people walking cars, moving lights, blinking. But inside that apartment, Grace felt completely alone. She opened her email one more time. 0 new messages. She looked at her resume. 6 pages. 12 years of work. Every course she had taught. Every paper she had published. Every award she had received. It was all there. Every single detail. So why was nobody calling? She started to make a list of possible reasons. Maybe her resume was too long. Maybe it was too short. Maybe her Nigerian university was not recognized here. Maybe her name, Grace Okafor, sounded too foreign. Maybe she needed an American reference. Maybe she needed to know someone. Maybe the market was just too competitive. Maybe. The list grew longer, but the answers did not come. And then one evening, her husband James came home from work. He worked at a logistics company. He had found his job in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Grace had been searching for 2 months. James sat down next to her. He looked at her resume on the screen. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said slowly, Grace, I think the problem is not what is on your resume. I think the problem is how your resume is being read, or not being read before it even reaches a human. Grace looked at him. What do you mean? James leaned forward. Have you ever heard of RTS? Grace shook her head. And that was the moment, the beginning of everything changing. ATS, James said. Applicant tracking system. Grace repeated the words slowly. Applicant tracking system. What is that? She asked. James pulled his chair closer. Okay, imagine this. You apply for a job online. You click submit. Your resume goes into the internet. But it does not go directly to a human being. It goes to a machine first. A computer program. A robot. And that robot reads your resume before any person does. The robot scans your resume, looking for specific words, keywords that match the job description. If your resume has those keywords, the robot passes it forward. A human gets to read it. But if your resume does not have those exact keywords, the robot rejects it, automatically, silently, without telling you anything. Your resume never reaches a human. It just disappears. Grace stared at him. A robot, she said. A robot is rejecting my resume. Yes, James said quietly. And you did not even know it existed. Grace sat back in her chair. She thought about all those applications, all those hours, all those carefully written cover letters. And not one human being had ever read them. Not one. A machine had decided in seconds that Grace Okafor was not a match. Dr. Grace Okafor. 12 years of teaching, a PhD from an American university, rejected by a robot. "But why?" Grace asked. "My resume is detailed. It has everything. Every class I taught, every paper I wrote." James nodded slowly. "That is exactly the problem, Grace. Your resume was written for human eyes. But the ATS does not read like a human. It does not care about your story. It does not care about your journey. It does not see your 12 years. It only looks for specific words. Words that match the job posting exactly. For example, if the job posting says classroom management, your resume needs to say those exact words. Not, I manage my students well. Not, I created a positive learning environment. The exact phrase, classroom management. If those words are not there, the robot says no. Grace was quiet for a long moment. She looked at her resume again. 6 pages of detailed, beautiful writing. And she realized something that felt like a punch to the stomach. She had been writing for the wrong reader. All this time, 2 months of silence, dozens of applications. She had been talking to humans, but a machine was listening, and the machine did not speak her language. Not yet. The next morning, Grace woke up early. She did not open her laptop. She did not check her email. Instead, she put on her coat, picked up her bag, and walked to the public library 3 blocks from her apartment. She did not know exactly why. She just needed to be somewhere that felt like thinking, like learning, like hope. The Columbus Metropolitan Library was warm and quiet. The smell of books made her feel for a moment like herself again. She sat down at a table near the window and opened her notebook. She wrote one question at the top of the page. How do I make my resume visible to a machine? She stared at the question. She did not have the answer. Not yet. Excuse me. Grace looked up. A woman was standing next to her table. She was perhaps 60 years old. Her hair was silver and short. She wore a bright yellow cardigan and round glasses. She was smiling. I am sorry to bother you, the woman said, but I noticed you have been staring at that one sentence for 20 minutes. Are you okay? Grace laughed a short, tired laugh. Not really, she said honestly. I am trying to figure out how to find a job here. I keep applying. Nobody calls. The woman nodded slowly, like she had heard this before. Many times before. May I sit? She asked. Please, Grace said. The woman sat down and extended her hand. My name is Carol. I am a career counselor. I volunteer here on Tuesday mornings. Grace shook her hand. Grace, I just moved here from Nigeria. I have a PhD in English literature. Carol raised her eyebrows, not in surprise, in recognition. And nobody is calling you back, Carol said. It was not a question. No, Grace said quietly. Carol leaned forward. Grace, I want to ask you something. When you write your resume, do you copy exact words from the job description? Grace thought for a moment. No, I write in my own words. I describe my experience in my own way. Carol nodded slowly. That is the problem, she said gently. And it is not your fault. Nobody tells immigrants this. Nobody tells most people this, actually. She opened her bag and took out a single sheet of paper. On it was a simple chart, 2 columns. On the left, words from a job posting. On the right, the same ideas, but written in different words. You see this? Carol said. The left column, these words go through the ATS. The right column, these words get rejected. even if they mean the same thing, even if your version is better writing. The machine does not care about better. The machine only cares about exact. Grace studied the chart carefully. Something was becoming clear, like a blurry photograph slowly coming into focus. So, I need to speak the machine's language first, Grace said slowly. And then the human will see me. Carol smiled. Exactly, she said. You are not invisible, Grace. You are just speaking to the wrong listener. Let me show you how to change that. And for the next 2 hours, Carol showed Grace everything she needed to know. That evening, Grace came home with 3 pages of notes. Her handwriting was fast and excited like a student who had just discovered something important. She sat down at her kitchen table. She opened her old resume, and she started to rewrite it. This time, differently. She went back to every job posting she had applied to before. She read each one carefully. She looked for the exact words, the exact phrases. Curriculum development, student engagement, learning outcomes. These were the words the machine wanted. These were the words she had never used. She had written, I designed my courses carefully. She had written, I connected with students from many backgrounds. The machine wanted cross-cultural communication. Same meaning, different language, completely different result. Grace rewrote her resume from the first line to the last. She made it clean and simple. 2 pages, not 6. Clear headings, strong keywords in every section. She finished at midnight. She looked at the new resume. It felt strange, shorter, simpler, not as beautiful as before. But Carol had told her, a resume is not a poem, Grace. It is a key. And a key only has one job to open the door. Grace took a breath, and she sent 3 new applications. Then she waited. Day 1, nothing. Day 2, nothing. Day 3, nothing. The old familiar silence began to creep back in. On the 4th day, she almost went back to her old resume. She thought, maybe Carol was wrong. Maybe nothing will work. Maybe this country just does not want me. But she remembered something Carol had said at the library. Grace, the door will not open the first time you knock. Sometimes you knock 10 times. Sometimes 20. But you keep knocking because the door is real. And so are you. So Grace kept going. She applied to 5 more positions. This time she also did something new, something that felt deeply uncomfortable. She followed up. She wrote short, polite emails to the hiring managers. Dear hiring manager, my name is Grace Okafor. I applied for the English instructor position. I am very interested in this role, and I would love the opportunity to speak with you. Thank you for your time. Sending that first email felt like jumping off a cliff. In Nigeria, you waited. You did not chase. You did not push. You trusted the process and you waited. But this was not Nigeria. This was America. And Carol had told her, following up is not begging. It is showing up. So Grace showed up. 3 days after her follow-up email, her phone rang. An unknown number, Ohio area code. Her heart stopped for 1 full second. She answered, Hello, may I speak with Grace Okafor? This is Grace, she said. Her voice was steady, steadier than she felt inside. Hi, Grace. This is Patricia Webb from Westside Community College. We received your application. We would love to schedule an interview with you. Are you available this week? Grace closed her eyes. 1 second, 2 seconds. She did not cry. She did not scream. She simply said clearly, calmly, confidently, Yes, I am available. Thank you so much for calling. She hung up the phone. And then she sat very still for a long, long moment. The silence in the room felt completely different now. It was not the silence of being ignored. It was the silence of something about to begin. The interview was on a Thursday morning. Westside Community College was a small school on the west side of Columbus. Not a big university, not a famous name, not the dream she had imagined when she first arrived in America. But Grace walked through those doors with her head up, her shoulders back, her voice ready. There were two people in the room, Patricia Webb, the one who had called, and a man named Dr. Howard, the department chair. They shook hands, they sat down. And then Patricia said, "Grace, tell us about yourself." 3 months ago, that question would have made Grace nervous. She would have talked too much, but Carol had prepared her for this too. "They do not want your whole life story," Carol had said. "They want to know 3 things. Who are you? What can you do for us? Why do you want to be here?" So Grace answered those 3 things, clearly, confidently, simply. "My name is Grace Okafor. I have 12 years of experience teaching English at the university level. I specialize in helping students find their voice through writing. I want to be here because community college students are exactly the students I have spent my whole career serving." The room was quiet for a moment. Dr. Howard looked at Patricia. Patricia looked at Dr. Howard. Then Dr. Howard leaned forward and said, "Grace, that is exactly what we are looking for." The interview lasted 40 minutes. When Grace walked out of that building, the sky was the same grey as the day she had arrived in America. But everything felt different. 2 days later, Patricia called again. "Grace, we would like to offer you the position of English composition instructor at Westside Community College. Part-time, 2 classes per semester. To start, part-time, 2 classes, not the full professorship she had dreamed of. But Grace did not hesitate, not for 1 second. "I accept," she said. "Thank you. I will not let you down." She hung up the phone. And this time she did cry. Not from sadness, not from relief. She cried because she finally understood something important. The door had not been locked. It had never been locked. She had just been using the wrong key. And now she had the right one. She called her mother in Lagos. "Mama," she said, "I got the job." Her mother was quiet for a moment. Then she said in Yoruba, "Of course you did. Did you think I raised a ghost?" Grace laughed. A real laugh. The first real laugh in a very long time. Outside her window, Columbus was alive. The same city, the same streets, the same grey sky. But Grace Okafor was no longer invisible. She had learned the language of the machine. She had found a human who believed in her. She had shown up when it was hard. And the city, this loud, complicated, beautiful city, had finally called her name. Now, let us step back for a moment. We just followed Grace through one of the hardest seasons of her life. 2 months of silence, dozens of rejections, nights of doubt, mornings of trying again, and one Thursday afternoon, a phone call that changed everything. But I want you to notice something. Grace did not get that phone call because she got lucky. She did not get it because she was smarter than everyone else. She did not get it because America suddenly decided to be fair. She got that phone call because she did 3 things that most people are afraid to do. Number 1, she stopped and asked, "What is the real problem here?" Not, "What is wrong with me?" Not, "Why does this cunt hate me?" But what is the real problem and how do I solve it? That one shift from blame to curiosity changed everything. Number 2, she rewrote her story in a language the system could understand. She did not change who she was. She did not pretend to be someone else. She did not hide her accent, or her name, or her Nigerian degree. She simply learned how to translate her value into words the door could recognize. That is not weakness. That is strategy. Number 3. She showed up when it was uncomfortable. Following up felt wrong. It felt pushy. It felt like begging. But she did it anyway, because Carol told her the truth. Showing up is not weakness. Showing up is power. Now, I want to speak to you directly. Maybe you are not looking for a job. Maybe your situation is different from Grace's. But I believe if you are watching this video, you know exactly what it feels like to be invisible in a new place. To have something real inside you, experience, knowledge, talent, heart, and feel like no one can see it. That feeling is real. I am not going to tell you it is not, but I am going to tell you this. The door is real too, and you are not a ghost. You never were. You were just learning the language of a new world, and that takes time, takes patience, takes courage. Grace's story did not end at Westside Community College. 6 months later, she was teaching 2 full classes. Her students called her the best English teacher they ever had. 1 year later, she applied for a full-time position. This time, she knew exactly how to write her resume. She knew exactly how to follow up. She knew exactly how to walk into that interview room. And this time, she did not have to wait long for the phone to ring, because Grace Okafor was no longer a ghost. She was exactly what she had always been, a woman with something real to give. And now the world could finally see it. If Grace could do it, so can you. Let us talk not about Grace. Not anymore, but about you. Because Grace's story is finished, but your story is still being written. And I want to make sure you walk away from this video with something real, something you can use starting today. So let us go deeper into something more important now. 3 lessons and 3 truths from Grace's story to your life. Lesson number 1. Your resume is not your story. It is your translation. Grace made one critical mistake when she first arrived. She thought her resume was a place to tell her story, to show her journey, and prove how hard she had worked. And yes, her story was beautiful, and her journey was real. Her hard work was undeniable and deeply meaningful. But the resume is not the place for your story. The resume is a translation of your value. Think about it this way for a moment. If you travel to a country where people speak a different language, you do not expect them to learn your language overnight. You learn enough of their language to open the first door. And once that door opens, once you are inside, then you can share your full story with confidence. The resume gets you inside, and your story keeps you there. So the question is not, how do I put everything I have onto this piece of paper? The question is, what words does this specific door need to hear to open for me? Lesson number 2. The system is not personal, but your response to it must be. When Grace's resume was rejected by the ATS, she took it personally. She thought they do not want me and I am not good enough. Maybe I do not belong here, in this place. And I understand that feeling very deeply. When you send a piece of yourself, your experience, your work, your years, and you hear nothing back, it feels like rejection. It feels like the world is saying, not you. But here is the truth you need to understand. The ATS did not know Grace, and it did not see her 12 years. It did not read her story or understand her value. It was a machine looking for specific words. Nothing more. The rejection was not personal. It was mechanical. But Grace's response, her decision to go to the library, to ask for help, to rewrite her resume, and to follow up, that was personal, and that was her true power. Her courage and her choice changed everything. And that is the part that actually changed things. You cannot control the system, but you can control your response. And your response, that is where your power lives. Lesson number 3, showing up is the skill nobody teaches you. Think about everything Grace learned along her journey. Keywords, ATS, resume formatting. Cover letters, follow-up emails, and interview answers. All of that is important, and all of that is useful. But none of it would have mattered if Grace had not walked into that library. If she had stayed home and closed her laptop, if she had told herself, I am too tired, I will try tomorrow, none of the lessons would have reached her, because Carol was at the library every Tuesday morning. Grace just had to show up. This is true for you too in your own life. The people who can help you, they exist. The resources you need, they exist. The opportunities, they exist. But they cannot come to you. You have to go to them. Showing up is not dramatic, and it does not feel heroic in the moment. It feels like putting on your coat on a cold morning and walking 3 blocks when you do not feel like it. But that small, quiet, unglamorous walk, that is where everything begins. So here are the 3 lessons again. 1. Your resume is a translation, not your story. Learn the language of the door. 2. The system is not personal, but your response must be. Your power lives in your choices. 3. Showing up is the skill nobody teaches you, but everyone needs. The walk changes everything. Write these down, not just in your notebook. Write them somewhere you will see every morning. Because some mornings, you will need the reminder. And on those mornings, I want you to remember Grace. Sitting at a library table, staring at one question, not giving up and just showing up. Before we close today, I have one small challenge for you. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because motivation is like fire, and it does not last forever. Right now, in this moment, the fire is burning inside you. You feel it, and I know you feel it right now. But fire does not stay hot forever if you do not act now. If you do not act right now, the fire gets smaller and smaller until it becomes only warm air, and then nothing is left inside you. So let us act right now together, starting from this moment. Challenge number 1. Open your resume today, and just open it without overthinking. Find one sentence where you described your experience in your own words. Now look at a real job posting in your field carefully. Find the egg keywords they use in that job description and rewrite that one sentence using their words, not yours. Use their language so the system can understand your value. Just one sentence, that is all you need to do today. One sentence today is more powerful than 10 sentences tomorrow. Challenge number 2. I have a fill in the blank for you to complete. Read this sentence carefully and then fill in the blank. Here is the sentence. Listen closely. Grace did not give up. She stopped. She asked for help. And she learned how to fill in the blank. Think about it slowly and take your time. What did Grace learn how to do in that moment? Write your answer in the comments below this video. I read every single comment that you write. Everyone matters, and every voice is seen. And when you write your answer, you are doing more than answering. You are telling yourself, I understood this, and I showed up. You are saying I was here, and I did not give up today. Challenge number 3. Think of one person in your life right now. One person who is also feeling invisible at this moment. Maybe they are looking for a job and feeling lost. Maybe they are new to this country and feel alone. Maybe they are just tired and starting to give up slowly. Share this video with them today, not because I need the views, but because Carol showed up for Grace. And maybe today you can be someone's Carol. Share. One person, one moment that changes everything. And if this video brought you value today, if Grace's story touched something real inside you, please subscribe to this channel today. Not for me, but for you and your growth. Because every week we come back here together. We read together, we grow together, we learn together. We learn the language of this new world. And together, you do not have to do this alone anymore. You never did, and you never will. So here are the 3 challenges again. 1. Rewrite 1 sentence in your resume today. 2. Fill in the blank and write your answer below. 3. Share this video with 1 person who needs it. Small actions create real results in your life. Grace started with 1 question on a piece of paper, at a library table where everything began. You can start with 1 sentence on your resume today, right now, in this moment, without waiting. The door is waiting for you right now. Go knock and open it. Before you go, I want to say 1 last thing to you. Not as a teacher and not as a channel, just as someone who understands what it costs to start over. You left something behind to be here today? Maybe you left a career or something you worked hard for. Maybe you left a title that once defined who you were. Maybe you left people who knew you without explanation. People who understood you without needing any words. And now every single day you are rebuilding your life. Quietly and patiently, step by step, in a new place. In a language that is not always natural to you. That is not weakness, and it never was. That is one of the hardest things a human can do. And you are doing it right now in this moment. Every single day, whether anyone sees it or not. I want you to hear this clearly inside your mind. You are not behind, and you are not broken. You are not too late, and you never were. You are in the middle of your story right now, and the middle is often hard, messy, and uncomfortable. But that is exactly where important things happen. Grace was in the middle too at that moment, sitting at that library table not knowing what comes next. And look where she ended up after everything. So tonight, when you close this video, do not close it with doubt inside your heart. Close it with this truth, a truth inside your voice. I am not invisible, and I am not a ghost. I am someone learning the language of a new world. And I am doing it 1 day at a time, 1 word at a time, and 1 step forward each day. 1 door at a time, opening slowly in front of me. Your value was never the real question. The language was always something you could learn. And now you are learning it step by step. That is everything, and that changes your future. I will see you again in the next story. Until then, keep going no matter what. You are closer than you think right now.